Well, we just got the full reveal for Borderlands 4 Story Pack 2, FL4K, and The Last Resort. And we finally know a whole lot more about what we're actually going to be doing when this DLC releases on September 10th. We already knew FL4K was returning, we knew mr.chew was missing, and we knew Tediore was invading some kind of tropical resort. But now, we know where we're going, why Tediore is there, who we're fighting, how much new content we're getting, and most importantly, how much new loot we're going to be able to farm. And there's actually quite a bit here. So let's go through the biggest things revealed for FL4K in The Last Resort. First off, we finally have a name for the new location. We're going to Providence Island, an entirely new region being added to Kairos. And honestly, I really like the look of this place. Providence was once basically a luxury vacation destination for the upper-class electee. You've got this beautiful tropical island, huge jungle areas, resort buildings, beaches, and this massive volcano sitting over everything. But obviously, this is Borderlands, so nobody is going to be there relaxing for a vacation. The trailer makes this place look like this really interesting mix between an abandoned luxury resort and completely untamed wilderness. And considering FL4K is the main character we're teaming up with, I think a massive jungle island is probably one of the best settings they could have picked. We're also getting more than just the main story here. Providence Island is supposed to contain new story missions, side missions, activities, and collectibles. So this sounds much closer to a traditional Borderlands expansion area than something like one of the smaller bounty packs. Of course, the entire reason we're here is because of FL4K. FL4K has continued the hunt since Borderlands 3, and his loyal skag companion mr.chew has gone missing. So we're teaming up with FL4K to find him. And from the new story description, it sounds like this is more than just, hey, my skag wandered away, can we go find him? We apparently need to save mr.chew because he definitely got caught up directly in what's happening with Tediore. That gives the story a much more personal reason for FL4K to be involved. And I'm really hoping Gearbox takes advantage of that. FL4K has always had this deep connection with animals and the hunt. So putting one of his closest companions in a dangerous situation gives them a reason to be more emotionally involved in this story than simply showing up because another corporation needs killing. Although, I'm sure FL4K won't complain about that part either. We also already knew FL4K isn't becoming playable again, obviously. This is kind of what they do with Borderlands. So, like, you play one Borderlands, and usually in the next Borderlands, they do, like, most characters do reappear, but they are NPCs just, like, to drive the story. So, they just kept that going. I don't think we're ever going to see a returning Vault Hunter that is playable. So, this is really a chance to see what FL4K has become since Borderlands 3 and hopefully get some actual character development for him. And now we finally know a lot more about Tediore. Previously, we all knew that they were beginning some like sort of covert invasion. But now we know what they want. Ordinite. Providence Island apparently contains a valuable supply of Ordinite, and Tediore has sent an expeditionary force to the island to secure it. And I actually really like this, because Tediore has spent like most of Borderlands being treated as like the joke corporation. But now Tediore is sending an actual military force onto Kairos to take control of one of the most valuable resources. So this is a very different side of the Tediore Corporation. And judging from the trailer, these aren't just a bunch of idiots carrying cheap SMGs either. We're getting Tediore soldiers that can cloak, deploy cover, and even soldiers operating large, power-armored exoskeletons. So Tediore is apparently bringing some serious hardware with them this time. And heading up this invasion is somebody called Lieutenant Harmony. Under Harmony are 5 elite Tediore generals, and it sounds like hunting these generals down is going to be one of the major structures of the DLC. The description specifically says we'll be able to hunt them down however we see fit. And I'm really interested to see what that means. Is Providence going to be more open-ended? Can we choose the order we take these generals down? Will killing one affect another? We don't completely know yet. But I love the idea of FL4K essentially turning us loose on this island and saying, you know, the hunt is on. And apparently Tediore power armor has a little bit of that Trant energy too, because they've been described as screaming Tediore when they get back up and after being downed. So I'm already prepared for at least one completely ridiculous Tediore character. It's Borderlands. There has to be at least one. Now, here's something that really caught my attention. This DLC is apparently going to feature 8 story bosses and then another 13 mini bosses. That's 21 bosses and mini bosses throughout Providence Island. So obviously we don't know how elaborate every one of these fights is going to be, but there's a pretty good number of named enemies for one expansion. And for somebody like me who enjoys farming weapons, that's also potentially a lot of dedicated drop sources, especially when you hear what they're adding to the loot pool. So, with the new loot, because Story Pack 2 is bringing 3 new Pearlescent items, 18 new legendary items, and this part really caught my attention, 1 new legendary class mod for every Vault Hunter. That's potentially huge for build crafting, especially with Loveless launching alongside this update. I'm not going to go heavily into Loveless here because I still want to make a dedicated video about her, but having new class mods arriving at the same time as a completely new Vault Hunter could give us some really interesting builds immediately. And of course, 3 new Pearlescents. You already know I'm going after those. If any of those have dedicated farms, you can pretty much guarantee I'll have guides showing you guys exactly where to get them once the DLC drops. Because after Prism, I've apparently decided Pearlescent farming is just my life now. So, we don't know everything those new weapons do yet, but 18 legendaries plus 3 Pearlescents gives us a pretty sizable new loot pool to chase. There's also a new traversal mechanic called Ziprunner. This allows you to grapple onto zip lines and quickly travel across Providence Island. And looking at the environment they've designed, this makes a lot of sense. You've got cliffs, jungle, resort structures, volcanic terrain, so it looks like they're leaning much harder into vertical traversal with this map. I'm hoping there are areas where when we're zipping over ravines or through jungle canopies or around the side of the volcano instead of this just being a faster way to get from point A to point B. So Borderlands 4 already made movement a much bigger part of gameplay. So adding another traversal mechanic specifically for the DLC can make Providence feel very different from the rest of Kairos. We're also getting 20 new cosmetics. That includes new Vault Hunter heads and skins, weapon skins, vehicle skins, and new Echo 4 customization. So there looks like there's going to be a decent amount to unlock outside of weapons too. And if you want to jump directly into Story Pack 2 with a new character, it sounds like you'll be able to start a new level 13 or higher Vault Hunter and jump straight into the DLC. Otherwise, the normal starting mission is called The Skag and the Robot, which, I mean, that's a pretty perfect FL4K mission name. You'll be able to access it after completing a lot to process, the 4th main story mission. So after this reveal, I'm honestly a lot more interested in Story Pack 2 than I already was. Originally, the hook was basically, FL4K is back and mr.chew is missing. And that was already enough for me to be interested. But now, we've got an entire new island, a Tediore military occupation, 5 generals, Lieutenant Harmony, Ordinite, new enemy types, a new traversal mechanic, 20 bosses and mini-bosses, 3 Pearlescents, 18 legendaries, new class mods. There's actually a lot here. And I think the thing I'm most interested in is Tediore now. Because this corporation has spent years being the joke of Borderlands. So I want to see whether this DLC finally gives us a version of Tediore that's actually dangerous. Because sending an expeditionary army into Kairos to seize Ordinite sounds like they're playing a much bigger game than we're used to seeing from them. And then you put Flak in the middle of that. Yeah, I have a feeling Tediore picked the wrong island. And one more thing, and before we end this video, Gearbox also officially revealed Bounty Pack 5, and that, let's just say there's another returning Borderlands character involved with that one, but I'm not getting into it here. There's enough information about Bounty Pack 5 that I think it deserves its own video instead of cramming it into the end of this one. So tomorrow we're going to talk about Bounty Pack 5 and everything Gearbox just revealed about it. For now, though, I want to know what you guys think about Flak and the Last Resort. Are you excited to explore Providence Island? What do you think of Tediore finally becoming a major enemy? And which are you more excited to farm? The 18 new legendaries or those 3 new Pearlescents? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want more Borderlands 4 news, DLC coverage, weapon farming guides, and my upcoming breakdown of Loveless the Hacker, make sure you are subscribed. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.